Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm bringing you a brand new episode in the emotional story of single mother Ly Hoai Ca and police officer Hùng. In the previous episode, we witnessed a major turning point in Hung's life. He had only 1 week left to decide whether to keep wearing the police uniform and stay true to the ideals he had pursued for so long, or to give it all up and choose a simple life beside Hoai Ca and their little boy. During his temporary leave, Hùng didn't just try his hand at selling goods in the market. He even invested in buying a large pomelo orchard. That lush green orchard felt like a new ray of hope, opening up a livelihood completely different from the years he had spent in the force. But just then, an unexpected incident struck, forcing Hùng to face the pressure of making his ultimate decision. Will Hùng choose his career, continuing to dedicate himself to his ideals and protecting peace for the people? Or will he set everything aside and choose Hoai Ca? Choose their small home and the pomelo orchard waiting to be nurtured? And when faced with such a sensitive choice, how will Hoai Ca respond? Let's follow today's episode to find the answer. Inside the house, Hùng was still busy helping Hoai Ca clean up, wash baskets, and prepare ropes to tie the fruit before taking them to the market. Just thinking about the orchard he had already placed a deposit on filled him with excitement. It wasn't just an orchard, but a foundation for a brand new path in life beside Hoai Ca. But as he was wiping down the table, the phone on the shelf suddenly buzzed nonstop. Seeing the orchard owner's number, Hùng gladly picked up, thinking they were about to discuss the handover date. Instead, the indifferent voice from the other end poured cold water on his hopes. "Sorry, Hùng. I've decided not to sell the orchard anymore. I'll return your deposit. Someone offered me a higher price, and I can't let that chance slip by." Hùng froze for a few seconds, blood boiling in his veins. His hand gripped the phone so tightly that the veins bulged across his knuckles. His voice tightened, each word grinding through clenched teeth. "What did you just say?" "We already signed the papers, clear commitments were made. Money paid, documents signed. And now you dare to back out just for a bit more profit? Do you have any idea what this means?" The orchard owner calmly replied, without a hint of remorse. "I have to think of my family too. Pomelos are selling well right now. I need to consider my children and grandchildren. I hope you understand." Then came the cold beep, beep of the call ending. Hùng stood frozen in the middle of the house, his face burning with anger. His heart felt crushed, and the future he and Hoai Ca had just started to envision suddenly began to crumble. Hearing the orchard owner's shameless excuse, Hùng suddenly felt his chest tighten as if weighed down. A thought flashed through his mind. Surely someone from the trading circle had deliberately stirred things up, scheming, setting traps, and pushing the owner to change his mind for a bit of short-term profit. They wanted to snatch away the opportunity he had fought so hard to grasp. At that thought, Hùng clenched his teeth, his eyes bloodshot. His voice rang out firm and sharp, each word cutting like steel. "If you want to cancel, fine. But I will never accept a verbal excuse like this. I'll come to meet you in person, we'll talk face to face. Don't think you can just go back on your word whenever you want." Not giving the owner a chance to respond, Hùng slammed the phone down, his hand trembling with rage. He hastily threw on the shirt hanging on the chair and strode toward the yard. Keys in hand, he jumped into the car. The door slammed shut and the roar of the engine thundered through his chest, fueling the fire inside him. The car sped down the dusty village road, clouds of earth rising in its wake. In that moment, Hung's mind revolved around a single thought. He must confront the man directly. He must reclaim justice. Because if he stayed silent today, he wouldn't just lose the orchard, he would lose the very faith needed to build a new life with Hoai Ca. As soon as the car screeched to a halt at the orchard gate, Hùng flung the door open. The loud slam of the door only deepened the tense air awaiting him ahead. The dirt road still carried the dry scent of the sun, wild grass rustling beneath his hurried steps. Before him stretched the lush green pomelo orchard, branches heavy with fruit, their fresh fragrance drifting in the breeze. But inside Hung's chest, there was no peace left at all. The orchard owner was already waiting at the edge of the field, his posture uneasy, eyes darting away. The moment he saw Hung, he waved his hand nervously, forcing a crooked smile, his voice faltering like a man searching for an escape. "Hung, please don't blame me. It's just that, lately, a few traders from outside came. They offered a much higher price. They told me I could just return your deposit, cancel the deal, and sell to them for a bigger profit. I only thought, well, green pomelos are scarce now and the price is rising every day." At those words, Hung's fists clenched so tight his knuckles cracked. The veins in his temples throbbed violently, his eyes burning with rage. Yet he forced himself to draw a deep breath, steadying his voice. When he spoke, it was low, firm, each word deliberate. "Uncle, I understand you want to care for your family, to earn a little more. But this isn't something you can change on a whim. You and I signed papers, signatures, receipts, everything in order. This is no longer just a market trade, it's a legal contract. Think carefully. If you back out, you won't only lose your reputation, you could also face a lawsuit and be forced to pay back many times what you've taken." The orchard owner flinched, his hand nervously twisting the rim of his conical hat, his gaze unsteady. For a moment, the confidence he had shown over the phone vanished. Yet the lure of profit still chained his feet to hesitation. Sensing this, Hung took a step closer, his voice lowering, calm, steady, but resolute. "I'm not the kind of man who seeks to make things difficult, nor do I want you to suffer a loss. I chose this orchard because it's where I can rebuild life for Hoai Ca and little Tony. If later, once you've harvested and pomelos fetch a higher price, I'm willing to add more, to give you that extra gain. I promise you won't be left shortchanged. But if you walk away now, I absolutely cannot accept it." With that, Hung placed his strong hand firmly on the older man's shoulder, not forceful, but enough to carry the weight of his determination. His eyes locked straight ahead, hard yet sincere. The tension between them stretched taut as a string, silence broken only by the loud chorus of cicadas ringing from the branches heavy with fruit. The orchard owner lowered his head with a sigh, eyes flickering with guilt and hesitation. He knew Hung was right, yet the tempting promises of the traders still gnawed at him. The tug of war within his heart thickened the atmosphere. Even the hot gusts sweeping across the dirt road felt heavier, more suffocating than usual. After speaking frankly with the orchard owner and forcing him to honor his commitment, Hung finally breathed a sigh of relief. It felt as though a heavy burden had just been lifted from his chest. He walked slowly along the narrow paths, letting his eyes wander over the orchard where he had placed all his hopes. The trees stood lush and green, their pomelos plump and glowing under the golden afternoon sun. The hum of cicadas blended with the whisper of wind rustling through the leaves, creating a peace he had rarely known during the years he wore the police uniform. Hung bent down to pick up a fallen leaf, studying it briefly before releasing a weary sigh. Two diverging paths emerged in his mind. On one side was the police uniform, a symbol of ideals, of years of hardship, but also of pride. He recalled the countless nights spent awake with his comrades, braving storms, facing dangers, all to protect the people. Yet he also remembered the sweat, the wounds, and the lonely moments of sacrificing his own happiness. On the other side was trade. Was this orchard a new and simple path, yet full of thorns? What had just happened with the dishonest orchard owner reminded him that the marketplace was no less ruthless than the battlefield. Greed, schemes, envy, All of it could topple his hard work at any moment. Hung stopped beneath an old pomelo tree and gazed up at the clear blue sky. A question echoed relentlessly in his heart. Should I truly devote myself to trade, building a new life with Hoai Ca? Or should I return to duty, continue the police path I have pursued all these years? The uncertainty tangled his mind. Only 3 days remained before the deadline, with the transfer order looming over him like a taut rope, squeezing every thought. Hung clenched his fists, sweat beading on his forehead. He knew that one wrong choice could decide not only his future, but also Hoai Ca's. Amidst the still orchard, Hung stood deep in thought, his heart weighed down by the crossroads drawing ever closer. On the other side, Hoai Ca had woken up very early that morning. After tidying herself up, she carefully picked the best baskets of fruit, pomelos, gourds, cucumbers, all grown naturally and clean by local households. She knew her customers came not only for the freshness of the produce, but also for the trust she had built over time as the seller of clean goods. As soon as the market opened, her stall was crowded with buyers. The tender gourds and plump pomelos sold out quickly. After collecting the money, she packed up her baskets, her heart lightened by how smoothly the day had gone. On her way home, the afternoon sun glowing warmly, she suddenly caught sight of a familiar figure. It was her foster mother. The two women's eyes lit up as they met, joy radiating on both sides. Her foster mother held Hoai Ca's hand as they walked, chatting, and before long they had arrived together at Hoai Ca's home. In the cozy little kitchen, after pouring a cup of hot tea for her foster mother, Hoai Ca finally spoke up, her voice carrying a trace of hesitation. "Mother, lately I've noticed Hung seems restless. He said he wants to quit the police force just to stay by my side. I'm worried. I fear he'll sacrifice his long-pursued career because of me." Her foster mother sat quietly for a moment, her kind eyes resting on her daughter. She nodded slowly, then replied gently, "I understand. But you must remember, Hung no longer has anyone close. Tiu-san is married, living far away. His mother left long ago, leaving a wound that has never truly healed. Hung only has you and little Tony now. To him, you two are his only family." At these words, Hoai Ca's eyes reddened slightly. Her foster mother continued, her tone more solemn. "Perhaps that's why he doesn't want to leave. He's afraid Tony will grow up lonely, just as he once did. He wants to be a true father, to make the boy feel loved, to give him a safe place to belong." Think about it, for a man who grew up deprived of family warmth, being with the ones he loves is more precious than anything else. Hoai Ca fell silent, her hands clasped tightly together. Her foster mother's words struck directly at the emotions she had long hidden. Within her heart, sympathy and guilt intertwined, and her eyes shone more brightly than usual. The small room sank into a thoughtful silence, broken only by the soft bubbling of the kettle and the quiet, contemplative gazes of the two women. Hearing her foster mother's words, it felt as if a veil over Hoai Ca's heart had finally been lifted. Every sentence was not just advice, but like a light revealing all that Hung had silently endured and sacrificed. She suddenly recalled the mornings when Hung quietly woke early to help her set up the stall, the afternoons when he carried baskets at the market despite the sun and rain, and even the moments when he stood silently watching Tony play, his eyes glistening red. She realized then, every decision Hung made, big or small, stemmed from one simple reason: his love and care for her and their little boy. Her foster mother gently clasped Hoai Ca's hand, her voice calm yet resolute. "My daughter, in a marriage, what matters most is not a grand career or a lofty status. What matters is whether the two of you can walk together in unity. Whether Hung remains a policeman or not, Whether he turns his back on the profession or not, you must always love him, always stand by his side. Respect your husband's decision. That is how lasting happiness is kept. Hoai Ca lowered her head, her eyes brimming with tears, her voice trembling. Mother, I understand now. I was too afraid of the future to see what he has been carrying. I won't stop him anymore. I will stay by his side, no matter which path he chooses. Her foster mother smiled, her eyes glowing with trust. She patted Hoai Ca's shoulder and continued. If he truly chooses trade, then you must both nurture it together, sharing hardship and joy alike. When two hearts are united, no matter how difficult the road, a family can overcome. That's the truth of life. No path is without obstacles, but with someone walking beside you, every thorn feels lighter. Those words struck her like a revelation. Hoai Ca sat in silence, taking a deep breath, her heart swelling with a warmth and steadiness she had never felt before. From deep within, she realized she loved Hung even more, and that she, too, must grow stronger to walk alongside him on the journey ahead. As the sky shifted toward evening, her foster mother rose, straightened her blouse, and smiled gently before saying goodbye. Her figure slowly disappeared down the small alley, leaving behind a profound stillness in the little house, where Hoai Ca sat with distant yet radiant eyes, as though she had just discovered a new source of faith within herself. That evening, after a long day full of turmoil, Hung returned home. Weariness still lingered on his face, yet his eyes carried a glimmer of relief. He had managed to resolve the matter of the orchard. In the small kitchen, the warm glow of the lamp spilled across the room. Hoai Ca was tidying up the few baskets of fruit left from the market. When she saw Hung step inside, she lifted her head and smiled softly, though her eyes carried unspoken words. They sat down together. Hung poured himself a cup of water, his rough hands trembling slightly as if releasing the weight of the day. Slowly, he recounted everything that had happened: the orchard owner's betrayal over the phone, the heated arguments, and finally the moment when he had to summon both legal knowledge and sincerity to salvage the contract. His voice lowered at the end of the story, weary, yet filled with determination. Hoai Ca remained silent, listening intently, each of his words settling into her heart like missing pieces of a puzzle. When he finished, she clasped his hand gently and spoke. Hung, I understand now. I know you've been carrying so much pressure, not only from your years as a policeman, but even now as you try your hand at trade. I don't want you to bear the added burden of thinking I'll force you to follow my wishes. Whether you choose to continue as a policeman or stay here with me to build a livelihood, I will still love you. I will still be by your side. Her voice faltered, yet her eyes shone with resolve. You are the pillar for Tony and me, and I want to be the steady support behind you. All I hope is that together we can build a peaceful home, so Tony grows up never lacking love, with the whole family he deserves, the family you once longed for as a child. Hung fell silent, his heart soothed. His hand tightened around hers, and a long sigh escaped him, not of exhaustion this time, but of release. He looked at her, his eyes shining brighter than the oil lamp flickering in the humble room. In that moment, every burden seemed to dissolve. Life's hardships did not drive them apart. Instead, they drew their love closer, stronger. Within the modest home, there was Tony's soft laughter in his sleep, two hearts beating in unison, and a new faith quietly taking root for their future. That night, in their small home, Hung and Hoai Ca shared their most heartfelt moments. They spoke honestly, understood each other deeply, and promised to hold hands tightly through every hardship. Yet ahead still lay a daunting crossroads. In just 3 days, Hung must make his final decision, return to duty, accept the transfer, and continue his path as a policeman, or cast off the uniform, stay with Hoai Ca and Tony, and begin an entirely new life? Will Hùng choose ideals and career, or the fragile yet precious home they've just begun to build? His decision will determine everything. Stay tuned to see the unexpected twists in the next episode.
Hello, xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa mọi người đến với câu chuyện tình yêu của mẹ đơn thân Ly Hoai Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Mọi người ơi, như mọi người cũng biết thì Hùng hiện tại đang đứng giữa ranh giới để lựa chọn giữa tình yêu và công việc. Khi mà công việc của Hùng thì hiện tại đang phải rơi vào cái sự lựa chọn là một là anh phải chuyển công tác cách nơi ở của Hoài Ca 130 km để có thể tiếp tục làm công việc công an. Nếu không thì anh sẽ phải đối mặt với một cái tối hậu thư mà cấp trên của anh đã đưa ra, đó là phải nghỉ công việc này. Trước đó thì Hùng cũng rất do dự và anh cũng đã nghĩ đến cái trường hợp là mình sẽ nghỉ để đi buôn bán, thì anh đã chọn công việc là sẽ buôn bán. Và anh đã chọn mua một vườn bưởi vì anh thấy năm nay bưởi khá là mất mùa, sản lượng rất là ít. Vì thế số lượng cung cấp sẽ ít hơn so với nhu cầu cần. Tuy nhiên là vườn bưởi đang gặp vấn đề. Vậy thì liệu điều gì sẽ xảy ra tiếp theo? Hùng và Hoài Ca sẽ xử lý mọi chuyện như thế nào thì mời mọi người đón xem ở tập sau nha.